everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Ashley, and I'm here to talk with you about individuality on chain. So how are we creating decentralized credentials with our Metis reputation power system? I want to give a thank you to the MetaFuturist team for being so kind and helpful in preparing this conference and inviting us to speak with you today. You'll see on the next slide my contact information. So if at the end of the chat you have any questions or want to learn more about what we're building, I'd love to hear from you. So once again, my name is Ashley. I'm the Education Programs Manager at Metis. I have a background in public education, state and local government, and nonprofit management, but I'm pretty new to Web3. I joined pretty much straight from the classroom and then started learning at rapid speed. And I love the idea of being able to take these really powerful concepts with the mission of sovereignty and individual empowerment and making them digestible for people so they understand how to use them to kind of even the playing field, to give themselves opportunity where there was none before, and to reclaim ownership for their activity online and their data. So again, there's my email address at the bottom. I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions or if you have any ideas for building on Metis moving forward. Just a quick disclaimer that I have to give in every presentation. None of this constitutes legal or financial advice. I'm not a lawyer or an accountant or a financial advisor. I'm not trying to sell you anything. This is just educational information. So what is Metis? What do we do? Metis is a decentralized economy platform for businesses and community. So our mission is really to bring about mass adoption. We want to make it very easy and accessible for people to come to blockchain, whether that's as an individual user or as a business who wants to incorporate it into their model. We want to make this decentralized open economy available for everyone. We're building the infrastructure to be the backbone of this. And our vision is to continually innovate our technology to make it very easy for businesses to come into blockchain and then pair that with education and simple user experiences so that regular people like me can come on and make the most of what Web3 has to offer. So part of how we do that is with our Smart L2 technology. And if you've never heard of that term before, that's because it's very new. We coined it ourselves. So essentially, we used to be an optimistic rollup, but we've innovated our technology and kind of added some mechanisms that increase our security. So we no longer really are like a traditional optimistic rollup. So Smart L2 is our new name, but we are a layer 2 scaling solution on Ethereum. And if you've ever used Ethereum, you know that the security and decentralization aspects are amazing, but the scalability piece is a struggle with Ethereum. So what we do with our technology is make transactions fast and cheap. It's really easy to deploy on our network, and we take the bottleneck out of your business. So use cases for using the Metis Andromeda network, we are really here for everyone. So whether you are an entrepreneur or a Web2 business looking to branch off into Web3, whether you're really into DeFi, if you love the gaming experience, or if you're interested in metaverse, if you want to trade or mint or create your own NFTs, if you are making a project that you want to tokenize, or essentially if you're just a freelancer who wants to be involved in multiple communities, we have a space for you at Metis. We're building infrastructure that supports all of these things, and we're really excited about what's to come through the rest of this year. One of the things that we're really focused on, and the thing that I'm going to focus on mostly today, is DAO structure. So we're a DAO, Metis is a DAO, and we're continually decentralizing our governance, and also the technology that we have. And this principle of decentralization is kind of key to every decision that we make. And while we really appreciate DAOs and this revolutionary form of organizational structures where people can come together and work on anything that they care about in a collaborative space, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what your resources are. If you have access to the internet, you can join a DAO. It's inclusive. You can contribute what gifts you have, whatever you want. You can receive rewards in return. And for the most part, these are quite transparent organizations. And we really feel strongly that decentralization is the key moving forward, not only for the security piece of it, but for moving into a space where individuals are sovereign and honored for their unique gifts, and something that protects privacy and anonymity, but also kind of evens the playing field, allows people a space to come forward and build and take advantage of the opportunities available in this space without any barriers from, geography or politics or socioeconomic status, any of those things. Now, we love all of these amazing structures in a DAO, but if you've ever participated in one, you know that DAOs have some weaknesses. And some things that we've kind of noticed, just like in any human organization, there are some inefficiencies. And this can be a result of apathy. People join with a lot of enthusiasm, and then maybe it starts to peter off if nothing really happens. There's a lack of knowledge sometimes. So maybe somebody's very enthusiastic about what a DAO is doing, but doesn't have the expertise to really make any real impact. Or it could be that people are heavily engaged, but they don't necessarily understand the mechanisms at play. There are a lot of factors here that can contribute to that. And then there's this trust piece, which is really interesting to me. We talk a lot about, Web3 being trustless. And I think this idea for people who are new to Web3 is kind of a turnoff. It makes me tilt my head a little bit, because I don't necessarily think that people operate, that we can just turn off that part of our brains that looks for trust. Like that's an internal security thing that we all have. And I think that part of the issue with DAOs is that we ignore this piece of trust, and it's kind of contributing to these problems of inefficiency. When you have a flat organizational structure, there's nobody in charge, and so maybe there's not a lot of progress being made. And then, how do you trust the people who are contributing? I think it's also important to note that when you're not necessarily contributing to a DAO, but maybe you are using a protocol, using a platform that an organization has launched, some sort of DApp, there's a fair amount of trust involved. For me, I don't understand how to read a smart contract and know whether or not it's, vulnerable to attack. And so there's a level of trust that I have to have in the people who've developed it and the auditors. And I think as we continue to encourage more people to join Web3, we cannot ignore the fact that there is a deep amount of trust in them having to learn a new space, learn new financial instruments, new organizational structures, and kind of figure out how things work. And so I love this idea of allowing decentralized structures that maintain the right to privacy and anonymity, but build in some level of trust so that, we're able to rely on one another. Now, I understand that one of the strengths of a DAO is this, or really anything in Web3, is this power of a smart contract, that code is law, that I don't necessarily have to know the person on the other end of a transaction to know that it's going to go through with integrity. I don't necessarily have to know your identity in order to, send you or receive money from you, receive cryptocurrency from you. I don't have to know your identity in order to be in one of these DAOs with you. But when we think about internal capital, this model here, I think it's important that we consider that humans are going to have a hand in every piece of this. So this is not a chart that's created by me. This is pulled from the Ethereum Foundation's blog. So this is put together by Vitalik. But essentially, if you'll kind of look at this chart, on the left-hand upper quadrant there, you've got AI, artificial intelligence as the holy grail for making things run smoothly. And then when you think about organizations, obviously there's someone who has to put these things into place, who put these mechanisms into place, who continually innovate. And that's kind of what we've got with a DAO structure. We've got humans on the edge, coming up with this innovation, and the AI kind of sorting out some of the routine things, putting things in a transparent way, making it accessible on a blockchain. But there are some limitations even still. So if we think about it in kind of like a social media example here, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my teammates, Pavel, for making this chart. But essentially, a DAO is transparent, but it's more flat, kind of like Twitter. Nobody's stopping you from getting on Twitter and growing your followers and posting. Like, you don't have certain features available to you that are not available to others. But what we're lacking in that space is role or permission-based functions. So that's kind of what we're creating with DAX. So if you think about Discord, you can create a space that allows people to join, but maybe only certain people have access to certain spaces, or certain people have access to certain functionality. And all of these, both of these examples are opaque, right? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If Twitter wanted to, block somebody's content or delete it, like, they can do that. And in a decentralized space, that's transparent. And so we're working closer toward that transparency, that security, and the decentralization. But how can we increase the efficiency and bring this human aspect in without kind of scrapping the rest? So DAX are our answer to that. So DAX stands for Decentralized Autonomous Corporation. And essentially, it's taking this DAO structure and adding functionality to it that can be customizable based on individual user needs or business needs. So whereas in DAOs, we use it for voting and governance, but we're moving into DAX structure that would allow things like regular enterprise functions. So payroll, finance, communication, HR, all of these things can be done on chain in a secure, decentralized, and transparent way, but still allow the right people to be in charge of the right things. So for example, if I have a nonprofit organization that operates in let's say Thailand, and I want to ensure that the services that we're offering to the communities that we're supporting are being effective, I'm going to trust the expertise of people who are very familiar with the area, the culture, the problem, the need, the community, over the person who maybe has a lot of tokens and can technically vote and sway the decision of the organization, even if they don't necessarily have the expertise to make the most positive impact. So we're looking for ways to still honor this engagement, but really put these roles and permissions in place where it would suit specific projects. And this is all individual centric, meaning we want to make it possible for people to customize this however they need. The question still remains, though, where does this all leave the individual? We're talking a lot about larger organizations and companies, but there's still this trust piece. And the questions are arising, how do we verify experience? If I join your DAO and I'm in the Discord saying I've got 10 years of experience, I've been in crypto since, 2009, I'm Satoshi, then there's nobody to verify that. There's no way, really. Even if I'm sending you a resume or I have a LinkedIn profile, the references that I put up are put there by me. So it's very easy to misrepresent yourself. There's no real way to acknowledge and confirm contributions outside of like a specific organization. So if I want to confirm that, this person really did support another community in all these different ways, the only way for me to do that would be to find and track down those people and communicate with them. How do we continue to build and reward our communities for their ongoing support? And what's most important in my mind is, how do we build systems that support people who have fewer resources without recreating these broken structures that we're accustomed to? So how do we support the individual who maybe doesn't have all the tokens in the world to vote in a governance issue, but has just as a powerful a voice as the next person. So with that, we come to reputation power. Reputation power is a Web3 identity system that is kind of pioneering the way based off of this version of Soulbound tokens. So Soulbound tokens was written about in an article, again, published by the Ethereum Foundation. And essentially, it's this idea that in Web3, we really do need some sort of identity system that still protects privacy, but encourages this understanding of who you are, this track record of credibility and integrity. And so we are creating these non-transferrable NFTs where you can own your Web3 credentials, you can own your data, you can showcase your contributions, your achievement, your on-chain activity is minted into an NFT that is yours and yours alone. You can display it and show it for others. You can connect with other people who are contributing to similar projects. And eventually we'd like to see it become kind of like this on-chain resume, so to speak, where you can say, hey, I really have contributed to, the marketing campaign for 3 projects, and someone can really go and see that and see where those projects voted to assign this badge to this person, and it's minted on a blockchain forever. So we're building out a system that would allow for these individual credentials, but that can be customized by individual dApps. So we're really excited about Matrix. Matrix is kind of like the user interface portion of this whole reputation power system. So with Matrix, a regular user like me would go in, I would create my Web3 profile, I would mint a social NFT. I can contribute to specific dApps, and then they will issue me NFT badges for different contributions and achievements. I can follow other friends. I can earn reputation milestones if I'm, voting in governance, or I'm trading on a DEX, or it's really widely customizable. So essentially, there are 3 pieces to this reputation power system. We have Polis, which is our middleware. So dApps can go in and they design their own preferences for reputation power, and create their own smart contracts for that. So let's say I'm a DEX and I want to reward people for continuously trading. Well, I can deploy a smart contract that would track those trades and issue reputation power points accordingly. Or let's say I'm an organization that values governance engagement much more highly than, say, social media or marketing exposure, then I can adjust my reputation power system individually to say that I'm going to assign more points for governance than I would for marketing exposure. So it's really the back end is where people can determine, like, what do they value and how do they want to reward the people who contribute to their project. Matrix Station is where you would then issue those NFT badges and develop communities through your incentives, rewards, and opportunities. You can decide, like, people who participate in some sort of voting or governance thing, they receive a specific badge to show that they participated. Or anyone who has this type of NFT badge can receive this kind of reward. Opportunities could be made available to people only who have a certain amount of reputation power within a specific field that you're looking for. So this is where you would then issue those to people. And then Matrix, again, is the user interface where I go on, I mint my NFT, and I can start to contribute and then collect that reputation power, mint my badges, and then have an on-chain record of my work in the space. So we're really seeing this as an opportunity to improve governance. No longer is it going to be a world where, whales can kind of sway the vote either way. This would be an opportunity for people who have the most reputation power, the most engagement with the system, to have a greater say in governance decisions. Again, it could be like an on-chain resume or portfolio, acting as like a verifiable reference for the contributions and achievements that you've had in the space. Again, the exchanges and trades in DeFi, but another interesting idea would be under collateralized lending. Just like in the Web2 space, we have a credit score that says this person has a history of, making good on their debts. in Web3 right now, if you want to borrow, typically you have to over collateralize, which is not an option for a lot of people. And so this is increasing accessibility to some of those financial tools. I could see this being used as some sort of customer rewards program for loyalty. As a teacher, I can think of tons of ways to put academic credentials into reputation power. If you're a gamer, I could see gaming milestones be offered in the form of reputation power and different NFT badges for your experiences within a game or even across multiple games. So really the list goes on and on. The key here is that this is individual centric. So users can choose what they want to do, and DApps can choose what they want to use this for. So it's the structure that we are creating so that you can bring your individuality with whatever level of privacy you choose into Web3 to establish some credibility and demonstrate your integrity in a world where, let's face it, people are a little bit more gun shy these days. So if you'd like to learn more about these Web3 credentials, these non-transferrable NFTs, and our Matrix reputation power system, I encourage you to scan this QR code that you see on the screen, read this article, and then, of course, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the Metis team. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for listening to our chat today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing from you. Happy learning. Thank you.